Did you just... And I will do it again if you ever speak to me that way in this compound.
She had survived Lagos traffic for 13 years. She had buried a husband. She had raised 2 children on a salary the government paid whenever it felt like it. She had negotiated with bus conductors, argued with market women, and once stared down a goat that entered her compound and refused to leave. But nothing in 13 years of Lagos living had tested her the way the girl upstairs did. The girl with 90,000 followers and apparently zero ability to read a room or a compound or basic human social cues. This is the story of Madam Adaeze Nwosu and the girl upstairs she will never, ever forget. Sit down. Get your popcorn. Because this one has layers.
Meet Madam Adaeze Nwosu. Apartment 1, ground floor, corner unit, 13 years running. She was the kind of woman who had a specific drawer for everything. Receipts in one, school timetables in another, and a third one she called miscellaneous, but actually contained things she didn't know what to do with and refused to throw away. She ironed her children's uniforms the night before. She soaked her beans on Friday so they'll be ready for Saturday's moi moi. She set her alarm for 5:10 a.m. Not because she needed it. Her body had memorized the schedule years ago. But because the sound of it gave her a sense of order, it told her the day had begun properly. Everything in its place.
She had 2 children. Chukwuemeka, who was in SS2 and had recently decided, without any announcement or discussion, that he was now a man. And Adana, still in primary school, still soft, still the kind of child who drew hearts on everything, including once the electricity bill. Madam Adaeze worked at the Federal Ministry of Works. Her boss, Mr. Oduya, kept a physical register, brown hardcover, ballpoint pen. And if your name was not on it before 7:45 a.m., he circled it in red with the energy of a man who had been waiting his whole career for this power. Nobody wanted to be circled. Her car was a dark green Toyota Corolla, 2003 model. Small crack in the left tail light. One slightly temperamental window that needed coaxing to go all the way up. She had named it Obina, after her late husband, because it was stubborn, occasionally difficult, but always showed up when it mattered. She loved that car. Now, upstairs, apartment 4, top floor. Driver, abeg take am easy. Those boxes are fragile. Zara Bello arrived on a Saturday afternoon 5 months ago with a pickup truck loaded so impressively that 2 compound neighbors came outside just to watch. She had more suitcases than seemed reasonable for one human being. Boxes labeled ring lights, fragile, camera equipment this side up, and one that simply said wigs, which nobody asked about. The security man at the gate stopped counting after 12 boxes. He just stepped aside. Zara was 23, maybe 24. She occupied a completely different dimension from the rest of the compound. She slept when reasonable people were waking up. She was fully alive and productive at hours when reasonable people were dreaming about jollof rice. She had no boss, no register, no Mr. Oduya circling her name in red. What she had was a ring light, a good jawline, and 90,000 followers who wanted to know what she was doing every single moment of her life. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Twitter, which she still called Twitter regardless of what the rest of the world decided. Her car was a champagne-colored Honda Civic. Spotless, always smelled like expensive vanilla. Pink fuzzy dice on the rear view mirror.
and a sticker on the back windscreen that read, "Content creator, move with purpose."
Good morning.
The two women had exchanged pleasantries exactly 4 times since Zara moved in. Fine, civil, no friction. Until the packing started. Nobody declared war. It simply happened the way all great compound conflicts happen. Gradually, then all at once. The compound had no marked parking spaces. There was room for 4 cars if everyone applied common sense. Madam Adaeze always parked closest to the gate because she left first. This was obvious, this was logic, this was the unwritten social contract of the compound. Zara had not read that contract. The first time she blocked Madam Adaeze's car, everyone assumed it was a genuine mistake. Young girl, new tenant, still settling in. Madam Adaeze knocked. Zara came down in 3 minutes, all forgiven. The second time, 7 minutes, 1 phone call. The third time, 11 minutes, 2 phone calls, and a hiss so long and sharp that Chukwuemeka said quietly, "Mommy, are you okay?"
Mommy, are you okay?
And Madam Adaeze turned to look at him with an expression that made him immediately find something to do in another room. By the 3rd week, it was every single morning. Here's what was happening. Zara returned home somewhere between midnight and 1 a.m. from shoots, events, a life that existed only after 10 p.m. She would pull the Civic directly behind Obina. Not slightly, not at an angle. Directly, like she had measured the gap with a ruler and found it sufficient. And then go upstairs and fall into the deep, bottomless, completely untroubled sleep of a woman with no morning obligations whatsoever. "Sarah!" The shout bounced off the compound walls. Madam Adaeze stood at the bottom of the staircase in her good yellow blouse, handbag already on her shoulder. Chukwuemeka and Adana hovering behind her like 2 uncertain satellites. Silence from upstairs. The thick, warm, completely unbothered silence of someone who had gone to bed at 2:47 a.m. She pressed the doorbell. Once, twice, a 3rd time that was not a press so much as a personal confrontation between her thumb and the button. "Mommy," Adana whispered, "should we just..." "Go where, Adana? We cannot enter that car because that car is blocked by the girl upstairs who apparently has no biological clock and no community spirit." She dialed. 6 rings. Then the voice. Rough, confused, entirely unprepared for the world. "Hello? Zara, it is Madam Adaeze. Come and move your car now." Madam, okay, 2 minutes. 2 minutes became 5. 5 became 9. 9 became 13. When Zara finally appeared at the top of the staircase, silk bonnet, oversized t-shirt that said "blessed" across the front. Blessed, Madam Adaeze noted, and slippers flapping against every step. Madam Adaeze had been standing for 14 minutes. "Good morning," Zara murmured. To no one, to the air, to the general concept of morning. She reversed the Civic 2 feet, waved, that casual, airy wave, the wave of someone who didn't entirely understand what the fuss was about, and padded back upstairs. 14 minutes. Every morning. Sometimes 17. Once, an unprecedented 23 minutes that Madam Adaeze still thought about with a very specific kind of rage. She tried speaking to Zara directly, politely, the first time. Zara said, "Of course, so sorry," and did it again that same night. She left a note on the windscreen, a reasonable, measured, nicely written note. Zara photographed it, posted it to her Instagram stories. Caption, compound drama season, she actually wrote a letter on paper with a pen. 6,200 likes. 0 results. Madam Adaeze did not know any of this was on the internet. She was eating her afternoon rice and stew from her flask. The good stew made Sunday with the right amount of crayfish. When her colleague, Mrs. Funmi Adebayo, stopped mid-sentence and collapsed into the kind of laughter that folds a person in half. The shoulder shaking, eye-watering, silent, then suddenly very loud kind. Mrs. Adebayo, what is wrong with you? You are frightening people. Mrs. Adebayo couldn't speak. She was pointing at her phone and making sounds. Give me that phone. On the screen was a TikTok video titled, "My Downstairs Neighbor Thinks She Owns the Entire Compound and Honestly, I Can't." Story time. Zara was on camera, ring light glowing, looking, Madam Adaeze had to grudgingly admit, very pretty, talking to her comment section like someone who had been doing this their whole life. Okay, my people, gather. My neighbor downstairs. I've been calling her Mama Schedule in the group chat because every morning, she is outside at 6 a.m. shouting my government name like she is my mother, my pastor, my HR department. Bestie, I moved to Lagos to live, not to be your personal alarm clock. Comments flying. Mama Schedule has entered the chat. She wrote a note, a physical paper note, in this economy. Not the 6 a.m. neighborhood concert. Then Zara leaned closer to the camera, lowering her voice like she was sharing a secret with 90,000 friends. And honestly, between us, I think she just wakes up angry. Some people, their whole personality is their morning routine and their suffering. And I refuse to absorb that energy into my space. 600 comments of people agreeing with her. Mrs. Adebayo managed through her subsiding laughter. They are calling you Mama Schedule everywhere. Madam Adaeze was very, very still. She set her fork down, picked it up, set it down again, pressed both palms flat on the desk, looked out the window at the Lagos skyline, breathed in through her nose, out through her mouth, like a woman counting to a very large number. She put my life on the internet. She said quietly, 600 people are laughing at me, and they don't even know my name, Madam Adaeze. They are calling me Mama Schedule. To be fair, it's not a terrible... Mrs. Adebayo. Yes? Install TikTok on my phone. Right now. Mrs. Adebayo looked at her. Then at the phone. Then at her colleague's face. She picked up the phone and started installing. With TikTok installed and a new account created, Adaeze Nwosu won. Mrs. Adebayo found the page. Zara Vibes Only. 92,000 followers. Outfits, makeup tutorials, restaurant reviews, and pinned right at the top, Life in a Lagos Compound, featuring my completely unhinged neighbor, story time, crying car. 389,000 views in 4 days. Madam Adaeze stared at that number for a long time. Mrs. Adebayo scrolled. There were more videos, a series, part 1, part 2, part 3, posted that very morning. In part 3, Zara was live, face glowing, reading comments with obvious pleasure. Someone is asking if I've tried talking to her. Yes, bestie. She gives me the face. You know the face, the older woman who has decided she is suffering face. Like
I chose my schedule. She chose to have children and a government job. Why is that my emergency? Then, and this was the part that made Madam Adaeze's hand go still on the phone, Zara said, "Someone's asking about her husband. Honestly, I think he got tired, you know? A woman that angry at 6 a.m. every day? I'm just saying, some people are alone for a reason." The comment section erupted with laughing emojis. Mrs. Adebayo gently took the phone. Madam Adaeze stood up, walked to the window at the end of the corridor, stood there looking at the Lagos skyline. Her husband Emeka had died 5 years ago, quietly in a hospital, after an illness that moved faster than any of them expected. She had buried him. She had come home. She had ironed school uniforms the following week because the children still needed to go to school, and life did not wait for grief. She had never told anyone in the compound she was a widow. It was her life, private, hers. And now a girl with ring lights and pink fuzzy dice had decided it was content. She stood at that window for 4 minutes. Then she walked back, sat down, and looked at Mrs. Adebayo. "Talk," she said. Mrs. Adebayo leaned forward like a woman who had been waiting her whole life for a strategic moment. You cannot fight her on her platform. Her followers will bury you even if you are completely right. You will look like the aggressor and she will get more followers from the sympathy. That is how the internet works. So I should sit quietly while she tells 92,000 strangers my husband left me? No. Mrs. Adebayo's eyes were bright. You are going to outsmart her quietly. She won't see it coming. She laid out the plan slowly, carefully, like someone placing tiles one by one. As she spoke, a smile spread across Madam Adaeze's face. Not the polite smile, not the diplomatic one she gave Mr. Oduya when managing his ego. The other smile, the one that meant something was about to happen and only she knew what. "Mrs. Adebayo," she said, "you are a genius. I know. I've known for some time." The plan was simple, elegant, and as Madam Adaeze would discover, quietly, personally exhausting. She stopped driving to work. Every evening, she parked Obinna outside the compound fence. When Zara came home late and parked inside, Madam Adaeze would get up, slip on her slippers and move Obinna in directly behind the Civic. Tight, deliberate, then go back to sleep. In the morning, she would take the children to school by bus and keke, leaving Obinna exactly where it was. Zara would wake up at noon, come downstairs full of plans, and find herself completely, architecturally, personally blocked.